Hi everyone, this video is about the lean methodology, and let's talk about where we did cover the lean methodology and the concept at the beginning of this workshop on video number one. However, we need to go into more details and look into a more specific tools that we could use it in mainly in a control phase, or it could be implemented on their own. So I decided to put it on a separate video just to focus on some of these lean tools and methodology that we could implement during the Lean Six Sigma project. What is a lean methodology? Lean, it's a philosophy that we could use it to remove waste from any process. So as long as you're removing a waste from any process, this is what we call lean. How are you going to do it? Just do it. As long as you are improving the process by removing the waste, removing any extra things that not needed, non-value added, then you're implementing lean. Some of the tools that we could use here, it's the 5S. We talked about it in the first video, the Kaizen, Kanban, total productive maintenance, and other tools that we're going to talk about. One of the tools that one quantitative equation that we use in lean, something called Little's law, and this will show you the relationship between the output and the work on process. So the Little law would say the work in process, the work in progress or process divided by the average completion rate divided by the unit. It's a law that will show you what would be the flow of your process and in comparing to the work in process units. We'll take more details on several techniques and equations related to the operations and related to the utilization and efficiency in the process. Okay, 5S, just a reminder, it's a systematic process of workplace organization created in Japan. The intention of the 5S is to have only what you need available. So if you don't need anything, if you just have what you need. If you don't need something, just get rid of it. A standard way of doing things, so it's important to standardize and discipline to maintain it as well. It's not just only keep what you need and standardize things, it's also to maintain these things over the long term. We're thinking about the long term goals. The 5S is sort, straighten, shine, standardize, and sustain. Sort, put things in order, remove what is not needed and keep only the things that you're using. Straighten, proper arrangement, place things in such a way that can be easily reached whenever they are needed. Shine, I'm not gonna pronounce the Japanese words because I'm not the expert, so I will stick with the English. Clean, the shine is clean the things, keep things clean and polished, no trash or dirt on the workplace. Standardize, purity, maintain cleanliness after cleaning, and sustain, commitment to continue these the previous steps. So, an example on sorting: you have a warehouse, you go to your warehouse, you start sorting what material you need and what material you don't need. The material that you don't need, you put a red tag so you could remove it to whether you throw it away or you recycle it, return it, you sell it, whatever you want to do. Straighten. We need to put the material in the right place. This is how you straighten it. If you have a hammer, you put it on the right place for the hammer. If you have a screw somewhere, don't throw it away. Don't throw it somewhere in here or there. Just put it in the place, the right place for it. So straighten things out. You want to put the things in the right place. Shine, clean them up. Don't leave any dust on them. Make them shiny. Standardize, make this as a process. So okay, well, how we can standardize this? There are a lot of ways to standardize it, such as the shadow board. look into that shadow board. If you're not familiar with this technique, it's very fancy, nice technique where they, for example, they draw a hammer, a shadow of a hammer on the wall, so the person who's using the hammer will put the hammer back into that place. So this is what we call the shadow board. And there's a special way for some of the shadow boards has to be angled in a different angle, so it's easy to reach. So this is something you could standardize. Another way for standardizing, well, how about if you put some visual instructions manual where you say step number one, you need to do this, and put a picture of how to run this machine. And sustain is just continue doing this. And how we could continue this, you could do it in there are different ways, but I could think about two ways for sustaining the improvement that you have done. Number one is audits. So you audit the place, the workplace, once a month. You've done. You could do a checklist and see if they passed the audit or failed. So if they passed, you could do the. If they passed, you could give them a reward for that department. If not, then you have to penalize them by you know taking some funds or something like this. But this is just one way. Another way is just keep it as a competition between different teams. Who's going to score higher in the audits? So if you score higher, so you have a audit sheet, and each item has a score. You score it. You look into the final score. Whoever team or department got the higher score will get a lunch for that, free lunch for that day. So there are a lot of ways to commit to the future and make it as a habit for your employees. Kaizen is a Japanese term that means continuous improvement, taken from the words kaya means continuous and zen means improvement. Kaizen stress, stresses on a small and continuous improvement to existing process. So look into the small and continuous improvement on existing process. All the people involved in the process are involved in the Kaizen effort with the objective of improving productivity and reducing defects. This is the whole goal of Kaizen, is looking into and so again, what you need to know about Kaizen, it's a process improvement or continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, it's a word for continuous improvement. Look into small continuous improvement in an existing process. The goal is to be more productive and reducing defects. Another tool that we could use in Lean, it's called Kanban, a system used to reduce costs in a high volume production line. So if you have a busy line, so you could use Kanban. By what is the thing that done? It's smoothing and balancing material flow. So Kanban is about material flow, how we could smooth it out, how we make it run as efficient as we can. Kanban system allows an organization to reduce the amount of inventory. So it's not number one, as long as you have a stable flow of the process, you will have a good inventory and reduce the inventory needed. Kanban, it's a card. So basically, what is a Kanban system? It's a card that will show the team that whether stop the line or we need more material. So you show a red card to stop the process, saying, okay, here's as long as you don't see my card, so continue. Once you see the card, you stop. This is one of them. Some of them will say, okay, don't uh, don't provide me anything until you see the card. So there are a lot of ways. So the idea is Kanban is having a card that will tell something. So what is that thing? It's really up to you. How would you communicate it to your team? So these cards used in control and progress, production and inventory flow. Kanban system allows a company to use just-in-time production and ordering system, which allow them to minimize their inventory while still satisfying customer demands. In Kanban system, the Kanban system was developed by Ahono, the vice president of Toyota company. Keep an eye on this because I do remember a question in the Six Sigma asking about who developed the Kanban system, and this is Ono, the vice president of Toyota company. Six rules for a Kanban system. Number one, no withdrawal of parts without a Kanban. So as long as you don't see a card, don't withdraw, don't move parts. The subsequent process comes to withdraw only what is needed. So this is just exactly look into the card. The card, some of the cards, it's just for visual management. Some of them has some specific information what is needed. Uh, an example on this would be if you go to the grocery store, if you pull the last item on the shelf in the refrigerator, I believe at most of the grocery store that they have a refrigerator, they put this stack like cheese or bologna or one of these items. If you pull the last item, you will see that the the rack will come up front with a label on it saying what is this item, how many items you have to stock in that place, and when do you have to check on that. So it's just going to be easy uh, for inventory management and knowing more information. So uh, there is some information on that card as well. So number three, do not send the defective parts to the subsequent. If there's any mistake or if there's something wrong, a wrong part, don't send it to the next step. Just eliminate it from the process. The proceeding uh, process should produce only the exact quantity of parts withdrawn by the subsequent process. Ensure minimum inventory. Smooth of production, fine tune of production using Kinema. I would highly recommend you to look into some YouTube videos on how we could visualize the Kanban. There are a lot of simplified things, but these are the steps that you could use it as a rules for the Kanban system. All right, let's take a look into this. This slide has a lot of information for a lot of questions on the test. Um, an example of Kanban would be this one here, signal Kanban for the supplies. Uh, I do remember a question on this. What is this picture? It's also in a Kanban. So once the lane is full, you need to send an assistant. Look at this here in the office environment. Sometimes we use Kanban to show people some messages. So, for example, uh, if you put the file in this way horizontally, that means that this is an active status. You're still working on that. An active status folder would contain work that needs to be completed and should reside in a horizontal position. Passive status, if you're done with that, passive status that should be placed in a vertical. Passive state folder would contain work that has already been completed and should be reside in a vertical position. So these are some of lean tools that we could use it in the office. So uh, here's one more time. I'm going to focus on this one here on the left side where it says supplies. As you see, there's like a card here, and which means that once you reach to the card, you need to refill that inventory. And in that card, you will see some information about what it is and how many quantity wise, etc. So this is what we call the signal Kanban. Another one is here. This is an example of Kanban where you uh, once you see the line is full or the lane is full, you will need to send an alert to say this is I need an assistant. Somebody will come to. Active and passive status, you need to figure out if you're done with a case specific case, you have to place it in a passive in a vertical position, which means that's a passive. If you're still working on a specific case, you have to keep the file horizontal in a horizontal position. Some of the tools that will help us in value stream mapping related to the lean is also another tool to process, to map any process, to look into value added processes and non-value added processes. We talked about it before, but we use at least some of the things that you want to remind you. This is what is called the process master document. Looks like this. Here's the process name and who's the name, who's the owner of the process, in a folder colors, whether red, blue, or green. How critical, if it's non-critical, what color will take a different color for folder requirements. So if you see something like this in the exam, this is what we call the process master document. Process master document. And the last thing that I want to talk about is this also in a value stream. What is the value stream? And this is called the report, this distribution report, a report saying, okay, this department has 450 patients on January, 575 in February, 575, a total of 1,500. It's just will give you an idea on how busy these departments are, and this is what we call the distribution report. Keep that in mind and review it before you take the exam. Another uh, matrix or another matrix or another factor that we use, it's called the total productive maintenance, TPM. The total productive maintenance is the systematic execution of maintenance by all employees through small groups activities. So if you have a warehouse or if you have a shop, you have to conduct total productive maintenance by all employees, small groups, for all activities. Why this is important? It's encourage radical changes, such as flatter organization structure, fewer manager because all of them going to work as together as a team, empowered teams, multi-skilled workforce. You will have people with a different skills, or you will teach people to have a multiple skills as well. Rigorous reappraisal of the way things are done, often with a goal of simplification. We need to simplify things. I'm a big fan of making things simple and easy. So this is should the complication is not going to work. It's not going to help anyone. So simplification is the best way to run things with a business or anything. Um, uh, Something that we use for the total productive maintenance is the overall equipment effectiveness, the OEE. This is really important. There are a few questions on the exam. OEE can be calculated by multiplying the availability of the machine times the performance times the quality rate. Also, another measures that we use in lean, it's called the lead time and the cycle time. The lead time is the total time taken for a unit from getting an order to receiving a payment. The cycle time is the length of manufacturing process. In terms of math, the cycle time is a subset of lead time. Uh, Another concept or another measure that we use in lean is called takt time, and this is you see it in a value stream mapping, and this is can be calculated by available time for production divided by the unit available time of production divided by the number of units required. Just to demonstrate the lead time versus the cycle time. Cycle time is a shorter or it's a subset of the lead time. The lead time is from order received all the way until payment is received. But the cycle time is just for one process or the manufacturing process. And this is important because I want to share with you examples. There are a lot of questions on these examples, and these math questions will gain more points in the exam and the Lean Six Sigma exam by adding. So, for example, to calculate the takt time, let's give you this example. If we have a total hours of working 8 hours a day, total minutes of working is 480 minutes. Lunch break would be 30 minutes. Tea breaks, 2 of 15 minutes each, so that would be 30 minutes. Total productive maintenance, total productive minutes, I'm sorry, would be equal to the total minutes of working minus the lunch breaks, minus the tea breaks as well. So you take out the breaks from them. So we have a 480, which is 8 hours times 60. That would be 480 minutes. Take away from that would be the 30 and the 30 lunch break and the 30 tea breaks, which is that would leave you with a total productive minutes to be 420. Total requirement, assuming that their total requirement, the demand would be 250 units per day. In this case, the takt time would be 420 divided by 250, which means 1.68 minutes per item. One, uh, 1 minute, 1.68 minute per one item to make one item. So this is a measure that we use it in Six Sigma. And what we need to do is to reduce the non-value added time to have a more productive floor. Example number 2 on the cycle time. Suppose your team is working 50 hours a week of producing a total of 100 units. The cycle time would be the number of productive hours divided by the total units produced. So we have 50 hours divided by the total. That would be divided by the total unit produced, which is 100. So we know that we need zero point 0.5. That would be zero point 0.5 hours. Which means that you need half an hour to produce one item. 50 hours divided by 100 units. So that would be half an hour to make one item. Example number 3 is number of operators. So this is also important. There are a few questions on how to calculate the number of operators. If the takt time is 60 seconds and the operation 1 takes 45 seconds, operation 2 takes 85 seconds, operation 3 takes 86 seconds, operation 4 takes 84 seconds. So let's, first of all, what we need to do, we need to find what would be the cycle time. The cycle time would be equal to the length of manufacturing process at all these times: 45 from operation 1, 85 from operation 2, 86 from operation 3, 84 from operation 4. That would equal to 300 seconds. Now, number of operators can be calculated by the cycle time divided by the takt time. So we have 300 divided by 60. So we need 5 operators to achieve the goal. Last thing that I want to share with you, and this is the end of the workshop, the end of this class. It's just the terms that you will use it, that you needed terms, Japanese terms related to lean, or whether Japanese or lean, and these are important. They will ask you some question about these terms. Gemba. The first one is Gemba. What is Gemba? Gemba is the real place or the workplace, the real place or the workplace where the actual service are provided. Hajonka, production leveling process. Hoshin, Kanri, these are strategic planning for the long term, strategic management methodology. Judoka, machinery automatically inspected each item. So inspecting, Judoka is a technique that we use in lean to automatically inspect every item for error detection and removing them. Kaizen is continuous improvement. Kanban is a card or a sheet used to authorize movement of an item. As remember, if you remember the flow of the items. Moda is the waste. We talked about lean as a technique to remove the waste from the process, and this is what we call removing the moda. Mora, unevenness. It's related to efficiency as well. Mori, overburden. Mori means overburden your employees, for example. Pokayoka is, or Pokayoki is a method of preventing error. SMED, single minute exchange of die, method for increasing the amount of productive time, which means you need to exchange the die within one single minute. It's a technique that we use it in Lean to um, to improve the efficiency and increase the productive time. Uh, I did put some resources here. I also will provide you with a book for Lean Six Sigma as well, so you could use it, a PDF copy available online. But that's it. We're done with the Lean Six Sigma certification workshop or course. Now, if you focus on these videos, we'll be able to take the Lean Six Sigma um, Lean Six Sigma by ATME. Remember, this is the Association of Technology Management and Applied Engineering. It's a unique organization that will help you to be distinguished from other people in the field. There are a lot of certifications, not only the Lean Six Sigma or the CTM exam. Also, there are a lot of certifications that you could pursue if you're interested in them. I highly encourage you to be a member of ATME because I was I grow with ATME. I know what benefit you will gain from ATME. Not only the certification, the networking, the conference, the accreditation for our department, we are accredited by ATME. They come every 4 or 5 years. They visit us. They check on our curriculum. They check on our courses. Are we delivering high quality courses or not? So that's the end of the Lean Six Sigma workshop. Please send me an email if you have any question. I will be working on the last quiz, and I will be sharing with you the actual date for the ATME Lean Six Sigma exam, which will be taken by the end of this month, anytime between now and the end of the month. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this workshop. I truly appreciate your patience, and I hope you've learned something from this. I'll see you in another class or another workshop. Please let me know how things went with you. Please uh, send me your feedback if you could do that. Thank you so much. This is your Professor Dr. Mahmoud Al-Odeh.